Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Spotlight in Business. I'm Tammy Defoe, President and Business Coach at GTApreneurs. And I have the pleasure today of introducing to you Tina Haller. She's a Burnout Recovery Coach at Renew You Coaching, and she will be the guest speaker at GTApreneurs' next in-person business networking event. That's Tuesday, June 27th at the Royal Canadian Legion in North York. All the details are in the information below. You'll find the link to register, a little bit more about Tina, and the rest of the details about the event. But before we get there, Tina, let's give everybody a little sneak preview about who the speaker is going to be. So tell us, first of all, thanks for coming today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm thrilled.
You're very welcome. And tell us more about yourself.
So I'm a burnout recovery coach, as you said. I help entrepreneurs and career professionals basically transform burnout into empowerment so that they can take back their control and start to thrive in both their professional and personal lives.
Fantastic. And so how did you get into that field?
Actually, I kind of fell into it because of my own burnout situation. I used to be a statistician. I was a statistician for 25 years. And the first 10 was working for big pharma. And then I went out freelancing. And when I went freelancing, the reason I did that was because I was just starting a young family and I wanted that work-life balance. And so I felt if I could do that, I wanted to have the kids jump off the bus and, be there, so that they could tell me their exciting day, and then, and everything was going to be great. But the problem was I didn't have the skills in order to create that work-life balance. I was a people pleaser. I didn't have healthy boundaries. I was one of those people that said yes, 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 and I got extremely overwhelmed. So fast forward 15 years, I was in really deep burnout, and to the point that my health was affected. And so I knew I needed to do something different. And I was too young to retire, but I knew I had to retire from statistics. It was just too much overwhelm for me at the time. So I went into another profession. I started with personal training, went into added the nutrition with it, and thought, I can start to help people, get more healthier that way. But I was finding that there's still a piece of the puzzle that was missing. That they weren't getting the results that they wanted, and it was because it was to do with the way they thought about things, their mindset, and that was kind of like keep blocking them from getting the results that they wanted. And once I discovered that and realized how I can actually change the programming in the neurology in people's minds to create the outcomes that they want, then they started getting some real results. And, I started at first on me because the reason I went on this journey was to improve my own health. And then I saw how well it worked for me. And I thought, oh my goodness, I have to share this with everybody else because it's just so empowering.
Very nice. Excellent. Yeah. So, a lot of detail in there. First of all, starting with statistician. I mean, first of all, it's amazing. Super smart lady. I know it's not one of my favorite subjects at university, although I did it. But yeah, I can definitely see how anyone would get burnt out over that. And you did what a lot of people, think about. I'm going to have more flexibility if I'm self-employed. I have my kids coming home and I can do these things. But unfortunately, you experience what a lot of entrepreneurs do. That we keep working. We don't have just a 9 to 5, you get your paycheck. If we don't work, we're not making money, right? So then you kind of end up most times working more actually than if you're an employee, right? And then all of a sudden you got your kids on top of this, you got the whole thing going on, right? So I can totally understand that. And it's something that a lot of people face, a lot of women face, absolutely. And they do get into that situation where you're so used to helping other people, you forget about yourself, right? Yes. So some people don't know I was a personal trainer for 13 years. And so I had clients that were mothers and they could come and drop off their baby or their kids at the daycare, right? And trying to get for themselves, they had put on so much weight over time because it was always about doing for their kids, right? Or if they had work to everything doing for them and you forget about yourself. But I mean, you can't have your health go down, right? You need to be happy. The happier you are, the better parent you're going to be, right? Exactly. So, and I know 100% about the mindset. some clients that I can train them in the exercise and nutrition, they're doing everything here, but it wasn't until after time. And I mean, I was never specializing in mindset, right? This was actually quite a while ago when that really wasn't the buzzword out there, right? So, and there were some that I finally figured out there was something that was blocking them.
Mhm.
Losing weight, right? And losing weight, that's one goal. But I mean, there's people who, for the business goals, all different types of goals that are preventing them. And so I'm so glad that this whole concept of mindset's coming out. And there's people like you who are helping people that get over whatever is standing in their own way to be happier.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah. And so what are some of the different things that you help people with?
I use different modalities. I use hypnosis, neuro-linguistic programming, and timeline therapy, as well as just shifting perspective. So depending on what the situation is, I might use all of them. I might use just one of them, but it just really depends on what the challenge is for my client at the time. And but the first way that I mentioned, the hypnosis, the neuro-linguistic programming, the timeline therapy, are very, very powerful tools, modalities that can make change quickly. And so they can be very empowering to really change the trajectory of where you go in your business, because they do work so effectively and so quickly. But the other thing is to change the way you look at things, look from a positive perspective, change that perspective on every outcome that you have can make a completely, like if the outcome is not what you want, changing it to something, well, how can I look at this positively to create the outcome that I do want? So there's different strategies that I use to help people do that as well.
Very good. Yeah. And a lot of different people offering hypnosis I've found lately. And there's something that, a lot of people, they're just kind of afraid of, right? Because I mean, a lot of people have heard of, they have these shows, these comedy shows where people are hypnosis and they do all these weird and crazy things. So they're kind of like, oh my God, what's going to happen to me if I'm hypnotized, right? Or what am I going to say? And there's kind of that, fear. So what would you say to those people who have never done it before, maybe have some anxiety about it?
Yeah, and there are a lot of people that do, because they think, oh, you're not going to touch my brain or make me do things that I don't want to do. But what you're referring to is stage hypnosis, and that's not what this is about. Actually, it's really like, in order to make change, you have to get to the subconscious part of the mind. And what hypnosis allows you to do is to relax the conscious part of your mind, because the conscious part is the one that says, wait a second, no, I don't want to do this. That's the part that will stop you. But the hypnosis will allow you to get to the subconscious mind, so you can speak to the conscious mind, change the neurology, instill some positive, suggestions into the neurology that's going to change the way you think about things, while the conscious mind just relaxes and it can listen in, but it's not going to take over. And that's where real change happens. And 95% of our thoughts are in our unconscious mind, and so that's where real change is going to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, it makes sense where a lot of people like consciously try to figure out to change their mindset, to change things, and they're keep just getting to the same place they're at right now, right? And I guess it's because of most of our thinking does happen in the subconscious. So
because you don't know, sometimes I call it stealth-like. It's stealth-like in your unconscious mind, where you don't even know that it's operating. But how you can discover that there's stuff going on maybe behind the scenes is to look at your outcomes. And if you're not getting what you want, then there's certain to be limiting beliefs around that are stopping you from getting the result you want.
Excellent. Can you tell us a recent example of someone you've helped and what was the outcome?
Yeah, so a lady comes to mind where she was working in a job. They had lost a few employees, so she had actually taken on their work as well, because she didn't have the no muscle, what I call the no muscle, to say no when it was beyond what her capabilities were, physically, mentally. She really couldn't take anything more on, but she kept taking it on, kept taking responsibility for it all, to the point that she had pretty much a nervous breakdown, and she had to leave for about 5 months. She took a break, and then got herself mentally ready to go back to work, but she still hadn't created the tools that she needed to be able to navigate through these tough times, to be able to say no when it wasn't right for her, like she could, when she didn't have the resources herself to be able to take them on. And so she started to go down that road again, repeating history, because that's what we do. We keep repeating history unless we change the neurology, the patterns. And so that's when she came to me and she said, I'm going down the same road again. I can't believe I'm doing this all over again. And so she started working with me, and we started to create strategies, and we used a little bit of hypnosis to help to change her thought processes around certain things. And so she was able to change how she dealt with people, what she took on, and she was always checking in with herself, making sure that her that her energy levels were at a certain level before she would take on something else. Because I always say, put the oxygen mask on you first before you put it on somebody else, right? We really have to do that. We think that, we have to take all this stuff on because that makes us a better person. But really, the better person is if you are energetically at a space to help others. That's when you're going to be the most impactful. It's not, doing more, because that's just going to totally wipe you out. Then that's going to make you more irritable, less tolerable, and it's going to affect your outside world, the people around you. It's going to affect your career. It's going to affect your health. It's going to affect so many things, right? So really learning those strategies that can preserve your energy is very critical.
Awesome. Well, look at, what? I so much appreciate you coming on today, and looking forward to having you speak at the end of the month in person. Get to meet you in person for the first time too, right? And everyone will come out so you can meet Tina in person. You can come meet me in person. We usually get around 50 guests coming out. It's going to be a fantastic event. Get your ticket now, and you have a great rest of your day, Tina.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome.